Good morning everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Flying Sprout. So today, on this beautiful clear sunny day, hopefully I found somewhere nice and quiet, because I'm going to do a review on my sleep mat, which is the Exped SynMat UL Medium. So when you first get your mat, when it arrives, it comes in a cardboard sleeve with all your details on it. I shall talk about that in a while. Let's get rid of that. It comes in its own stuff sack, and at the end of the stuff sack is a small piece that you can put your two fingers in to pull your mat out. So let's open it up. So toggle drawstring, and first things first, in the top is the Schnozzle pump sack, and we shall deal with that in a short while. And then essentially pull it out, we'll get rid of the stuff sack, and there you have your mat. So first things first, let's get it blown up. So it's 183 centimeters tall, and you can see that's pretty much in line with me, so that's about spot on for me. It's 52 centimeters wide. It is 7 centimeters thick. It weighs 475 grams. The Schnozzle pump sack weighs 80 grams. So let's talk about inside now. Inside there is a Exped loft. It's a synthetic loft that is laminated to both undersides of the mat to ensure that it stays in place and doesn't move. It's also hydrolysis resistant, so what that means is that if this was to get wet or get water on it, the water wouldn't react with the chemicals and make the bonded laminate unbond. So therefore, if this does get wet, then it's quite safe, and that's actually a really important point, and I'll tell you why in a short while. So the synthetic loft is essentially what keeps you warm and stops that ground cold penetrating the mat into your body, because actually you'll get colder from the ground than you will from the air around you, and that's why sleep mats now have a R rating or an R value. Now this currently has an R value of 2.9. It did used to be 3.30. However, back in 2020, ASTM, I believe it is, if it's not I shall put it up at the bottom of the screen, re-evaluated the R rating measuring system. So therefore this mat has now been down rated from a 3.3 to a 2.9, and I think they rated this up to -4, but now they're rating it to -3. But as far as I'm concerned, that's more than enough for me. On the back you can see there are two bungs essentially. The one here on your right is the bung that actually deflates it, and it's essentially just a big hole in there, so you can deflate it in one go, and it's very, very quick and very efficient for deflation. The other side is the inflation valve, and if I open it up, you can see that there is a one-way membrane in there, and attached to the lid is actually a small plastic piece that you can use to push that membrane in if you happen to have blown it up too much and you need to let a bit of air out. So that's quite a good system, and I like this system for inflation and deflation. That's not to say that I haven't had some issues with it. So let's talk about the Schnozzle. It's a bit of a strange name, but it's a pump sack Schnozzle, but it also doubles up as a dry sack. So it's got typical dry sack tops where you can roll the top and click it together. On the bottom it's got a small tube with a bung or a cap that goes over that valve, and you just undo that. You put that into the valve in the top of the mat, get some air inside it, and then roll it up, and away you go. It does seem like it's a bit extra weight, but it serves two purposes. One, if you blow up a mat with your own breath, then you'll get moisture inside, and moisture inside can apparently cause mold. What I would say is that when you've done a 20-mile day, the last thing you want to do is sit there and spend 10 minutes getting a dizzy head and blowing up your mat by hand. You'll see by that video, it only took me probably 2 or 3, I think it was 3 goes to blow it up, and this wasn't fully inflated either. The other good reason for this is that it can it doubles up as a dry sack. So what I do sometimes is actually put my sleeping bag in it, or my night clothes, and keep my dry clothes in it, roll it out up, and that way you're saving a bit of weight because you're using one item for 2 uses, and that gives you just that extra bit of weight saving, which is always a bonus, especially if you're on a long trek. There is a loop on here, and in theory, and I've never used this because it just doesn't work for me, in theory you put that loop over your foot, and then that attaches to your mat, and then you blow it up, and that is the correct way to do it. But as you'll see in the video, I don't bother with that. It doesn't really work for me. I think it's a bit of a faff trying to get your foot in the loop, so I just don't bother. I don't really feel there's a need. So let's just have a quick look inside. As you can see there, inside the copper spur, which is pretty much a standard size footprint for most backpacking tents, there is no problem with fitting it in. So we're in. So why is this my favourite sleep mat? I think several reasons. It's rectangle shape. I prefer the rectangle shape as opposed to the mummy shape. As you can see, I am not the smallest of chaps, and I think that the rectangle shape suits me better than the mummy shape. So secondly, I think it's the baffles run vertical, so they run from top to bottom. The two outside baffles are slightly larger than the smaller the ones inside, and that is apparently helps to prevent you from essentially slipping or falling off of it. So thirdly, I'm a side sleeper. When I was doing my research and taking some advice, I was advised that Exped SynMats, if you're a side sleeper, are far more comfortable than Neo Airs. And having tried the Neo Air, I would personally agree with that. Number 4, I think, is the inflate and deflate, the fact that they're separate. Other mats like the Neo Air use the same valve for both. I find that a little bit fiddly and a bit of a faff. So from my point of view, yeah, no, I like it. I think it's great. However, are there things that I don't like? I guess there's a couple of things. I think the biggest thing is that I have had several nights when I've been on the floor, the inflate valve has a one-way membrane in it, but when I've used that little toggle and pressed that one-way valve, I've then put the bung back in, and then halfway through the night felt myself on the floor, and it seems to be a bit temperamental when you do that. But I have found that the Exped loft that's laminated at the top of it, I think, has sometimes got caught in that membrane and therefore allowed the air to escape, and I've ended up on the floor. I have also ended up a couple of times once on the floor because I had a leak. And I'll show you a close-up now of those punctures. Excuse the unsightly colour, but I made the mistake of putting drawing a pen around the hole and to find the leak, and I found the leak by putting it in the bath, and that goes back to what I said earlier about it's okay if it gets wet. So if you do get a leak, you can put the whole thing in the bath, find the bubbles, mark where the hole is, and then repair it. The other downside of sleep mats, and this is all sleep mats, should I say all inflatable sleep mats, is the noise. If I move around, you can still hear there's quite a considerable amount of noise. When you're in a campsite or you're even wild camping with a group of friends, unless you've got a closed cell phone type mat, which is essentially, this is a cut down one, unless you've got something like that and you're using an inflatable mat, then you're going to have noise. Whenever I'm in a campsite with other backpackers, I can hear them turn over, and I know they can hear me turn over. It's something you just have to accept, and you either put up with it or you don't put up with it. So if you've got any questions, or you've bought one of these, or you want to know more about it, then please put your comments below. Let me know how you've got on with yours. Do you use something different? Do you have any tips or tricks that you know that I don't know, that I haven't come across? I mean, I've used this for the West Highland Way, the South Downs Way, and I'm going to be using it on the coast to coast, and I've had it for a couple of years now, so I think it's a fair review. Though it's not perfect, but then no backpacking piece of equipment is perfect. If you like the video, then please press the like, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, then please feel free to do so, but it's entirely up to you, no pressure. And I shall see you later and catch you on the next one. See you later. I think I might just stay here and have a little bit of a sleep. It's too nice to go home.